Hi, I'm Nikhil and this is Zero Latitude. Today I'll talk about satellite internet, especially in India's context, and America's newly released AI action plan. So let's get into it. So satellite internet is synonymous with SpaceX's Starlink, which is available in more than 100 countries, and it recently obtained a key license from Department of Telecommunication to operate in India. And this happened after it agreed to several GOIs, data and security requirements. So, like data localization, data has to be in India, stored in India, processed in India, no offshore, no offshore decryption, infrastructure requirements like network control, real time traffic monitoring, and lawful interception must be located in India, real time law enforcement cooperation, and they also asked about detailed data storage and transfer plans. So they got this license, but there are several more approvals pending before they start to operate. So, like before Starlink, Airtel with OneWeb and Jio also got similar approvals. And interestingly, recently both Airtel and Jio partnered with Starlink to provide their equipment in India. The partnership agreement is still not out or it's still vague, but it seems like they are going to be selling the Starlink equipment in India and providing services. So I'm not sure how it's going to work. Like, are they going to provide their own satellite internet as well as provide services to Starlink? So not sure how it's going to be. But what I don't get is why not Jio or Airtel are trying to build their own constellation. I get that it's hard, I get that it's expensive, but that's exactly why startups can't do it. If not them, then who are already in this game? So about 95% of India is already covered with high-speed mobile internet. So high speed is basically 4G here, and similar percentages for villages and remote areas. So about 5% of India is not covered with high-speed internet. So you can say that this 5% is going to be the target for that satellite internet. So I get that the return on investment is not going to be great if that's the only demographic or area they are trying to reach. And satellites, for example, the low Earth orbit satellites, which basically Starlinks are, they cost about $1 million to make and about $1 million to launch as well. So $2 million per satellites, and they would need about hundreds. They would need hundreds or maybe thousands. So, for example, Starlink already have 7,000 in orbit. So it's a pretty expensive affair. So I get that, but return on investment, they can find other ways to do it, I think. So maybe that last 5% of rural coverage doesn't justify the economics, but it's not always about ROI. Where's the ambition? And one other player is also trying to get into this. Ananth Technologies, they've been making satellites for very long now, and they're not targeting low Earth orbit, they're targeting GEO, so geosynchronous orbit. Uh, that's very high. So satellites cost a magnitude more. Launching cost is more by a magnitude. So let's see how that's going to go for them. There is one more player, which is Amazon. So they have a project called Amazon Project Kuiper, and they are also trying to have the satellite internet with about 3,300 satellites, and they've already about 50 satellites in orbit. So they're moving pretty fast, and they have already filed a letter of intent with government of India. One fun bit, so if you Google or ChatGPT, whatever you do, the cost cited by news publication for both Project Kuiper as well as Starlink, when it's going to be complete, is $10 billion. But the number of satellites Project Kuiper is targeting is about 3,300, and the number of satellites Starlink is targeting is more than 40,000. So either Starlink is extremely, extremely efficient and vertically integrated in the production, or $10 billion is just a very high number they like to quote. So let's move forward with that. Anyway, all it tells you is that it's an expensive affair and no way suitable for startups. Government and large corporations can only do this, and EU is planning to have their own constellation. I think by the end of this decade. China already have, I believe, Chinese two companies already have some satellites, and they're building their own constellation as well. So even with all the safeguards, satellite internet is hard to regulate, and it's a national security risk. So for example, Starlink hardware showed up in Manipur and Andaman and Nicobar Islands last year. It was a reminder to have control over critical infrastructure. And with satellite, I remember asking my mentor at Oak Ridge that how we have these kind of data, how countries allow this, and she basically said what they can do. So that scares me. So now let's move on from the satellite internet. And US just announced their AI action plan. So Sri Ramakrishnan posted on X about 2 days ago. Today, and I'm quoting here, "Today is a day we have been working towards for 6 months. We are announcing America's AI action plan, putting us on the road to continued AI dominance. The 3 core themes: accelerate AI innovation, build American AI infrastructure, and third one, lead in international AI diplomacy and security." And then he goes on to thank people and talk more about it. So first of all, I love their website. It's minimal. I don't know why Indian government websites are bad. So the document is a 28-page document which talks about 3 pillars: accelerate AI innovation, build American infrastructure, and lead in international AI diplomacy, which Sriram mentioned in his post. And this is a very generic, broad government document, like this department is going to do this should handle this, that kind of thing. But on a high level, pillar 1, or the point 1, which is accelerate AI innovation, mentions about deregulation, ensuring frontier models protect free speech and American values, empower American workers in age of AI, build world-class scientific data sets, invest in interpretability, build AI evaluation ecosystem, adoption in government, defense, protect AI innovation, help workers, and all those things. Pillar 2 talks about the infrastructure, so streamlining permissions of data centers, chip manufacturing, energy infrastructure, and security. And it specifically mentions about the grid. And pillar 3 goes into And pillar 3 talks about lead in international AI diplomacy and security. So it says export American AI to allies and partners, counter Chinese influence in international governance bodies, ensure strict export control in chips manufacturing, and interestingly, it specifically mentioned biosecurity. So very generic, but very comprehensive. So they touch on infrastructure, deregulation, security, grid, manufacturing, robotics, all those things. So out of curiosity, I looked if India has one, and it seems India released India AI Action Plan last year, which has 7 pillars, and it talks about India AI Innovation Center for development of models. Pillar 2, India AI Application Development Initiative, so developing apps and scaling them. AI Coach platform, which is a unified hub for models, data, and sandboxes of AI. Pillar 4 is about India AI compute capacity, and they are targeting 10,000 plus GPUs. Pillar 5 is India AI startup financing. 6 is future skills, and 7th is safe and trusted AI. Most of the things are generic here too, like skill development, safe and trusted AI. There are some good things too, like compute capacity of 10,000 plus GPU, which is decent. Financing for startups. Indian VCs are very risk averse as compared to US VCs, so government funding might push them and give them enough confidence to invest more. But one thing that stood out, US plan talks about enabling, deregulating, supporting, letting builders run. But the India AI mission is full of, we will establish a hub, we will establish this center, we will create that. And by we, they basically mean government. In a country of billion plus, you don't win by building everything top down. You win by unblocking talent and letting it run. So that's it for today. I'm Nikhil, and this is Zero Latitude. I'll see you next week.